Normal skin is, in theory, the most boring thing to have. No drama, no crisis, no $200 serum to fix some specific problem you didn't know you had until an influencer told you about it. And that's exactly why evolution kept it around. Here's the thing about normal skin. It isn't just the absence of a problem. It's the presence of something really specific: balance. The oil-to-moisture ratio is calibrated well enough that your skin barrier, the outermost layer that separates you from the rest of the world, functions almost optimally at all times. Now think about what your ancestors were dealing with. Unpredictable weather, sudden exposure to wind, cold, heat, sun, salt water, environments that could shift dramatically within hours. In that world, your skin's most important job wasn't to look good. It was to not fail. And normal skin doesn't fail. The skin barrier, called the stratum corneum, works like a brick wall. Skin cells are the bricks, and a mix of oils and lipids are the mortar. In normal skin, that mortar layer stays intact across changing conditions. It doesn't crack in cold. It doesn't get so greasy it stops functioning. It just holds. That consistency does three really important things. It keeps moisture in, which keeps the tissue underneath healthy and functioning. It keeps bacteria and contaminants out, because an intact barrier is genuinely hard to penetrate. And it stays quiet, meaning it doesn't trigger inflammatory responses that waste energy and draw resources away from other survival priorities. There's a concept in evolutionary biology called energetic cost. Every system in your body runs on a budget. Healing, digesting, moving, thinking, all competing for the same resources. A skin type that requires constant repair eats into that budget. Normal skin doesn't. It lets your body spend its energy elsewhere. Like, running from things, finding food, not dying. So yes, normal skin is boringly consistent. But in evolutionary terms, consistent beats spectacular every single time. The exciting skin types are coming. Normal skin just shows up, does its job, and goes home. Oily skin has been fighting for its reputation for about a century. Modern culture decided it's a problem to be solved, and the skincare industry, God bless them, is more than happy to sell you 17 products to solve it. But strip away the marketing, and oily skin starts to look a lot less like a flaw, and a lot more like a deliberate upgrade. Sebum, the oil your skin produces, is not waste. It's one of the most sophisticated substances your body manufactures. It's a blend of fatty acids, wax esters, squalene, and triglycerides, and it does a remarkable number of things simultaneously. Essentially, your face is a pharmaceutical lab that never clocks out. First, it physically seals the skin. In dry, hot climates, exactly the kind of environment humans evolved in across large parts of Africa and the Middle East, that seal meant the difference between staying hydrated and losing dangerous amounts of moisture through the skin. Oily skin is better at retaining water internally, even when the air around it is completely parched. You are, in the most literal sense, waterproof. Second, sebum creates a chemical environment on the skin surface called the acid mantle. The slightly acidic pH that sebum helps maintain, around 4.5 to 5.5, is actively hostile to a wide range of harmful bacteria and fungi. Pathogens generally prefer a more neutral pH. Your oily skin is, in a very real sense, poisonous to things trying to colonize it. Your face is a hostile environment. For germs, specifically. Not for people, hopefully. Third, sebum contains compounds with documented antimicrobial properties. Certain fatty acids within it, particularly sapienic acid, which is unique to humans, have been shown to inhibit dangerous bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus. You are literally secreting an antibiotic. Pharmaceutical companies charge a lot of money for that. Your sebaceous glands do it for free. Then there's the aging argument, which is just frankly unfair to everyone who doesn't have oily skin. Oily skin ages measurably slower. The ongoing hydration that sebum provides reduces the rate at which collagen and elastin break down, which delays wrinkles. The teenagers who spent their high school years blotting their foreheads with tissue are often the ones who look significantly younger in their 50s. Nature giveth, and then nature giveth more to the already shiny-faced. What modern skincare calls a problem, evolution called infrastructure. Dry skin makes a lot of sense, just not everywhere. This is probably the most context-dependent skin type of the 6, because its advantages are almost entirely tied to environment, and for a huge portion of human history, a huge portion of humans lived in exactly the right environment for it, specifically cold, miserable places. In cold, dry climates, Northern Europe, Central Asia, high-altitude regions, lower sebum production is actually a strategic advantage. Here's why. Sebum, for all its benefits, is a biological substance. And biological substances attract biology. Specifically, they provide a nutrient-rich surface that certain bacteria and microorganisms find very hospitable. In a cold environment where skin is already more exposed to harsh conditions, having a thick layer of oil on the surface can trap particulates, harbor microbes, and create a surface that's increasingly difficult to keep clean. especially if the concept of running water hasn't been invented yet. Dry skin sidesteps that entire problem. Less oil means less biological material on the surface, which means a less welcoming environment for colonization. Cold climates have enough ways to kill you without your own face joining in. But the real advantage of dry skin is in its turnover rate. Dry skin sheds its outermost cells more rapidly. The epidermis is constantly renewing itself. Old cells die, new ones push up from below, and the dead outer layer sloughs off. In dry skin, this cycle runs faster. That matters because it means damaged or contaminated cells are cleared more quickly. Anything that penetrates the top layer, irritants, pollutants, even microorganisms, doesn't sit there for as long. It gets swept out with the next round of shedding. Think of it as a self-cleaning surface with a faster refresh rate. You don't store much, but you also don't accumulate things you don't want. Very minimalist, very Scandinavian, appropriately enough. The trade-off is real. Dry skin is more vulnerable to cracking, which creates openings in the barrier. But in the right environment, that's a manageable downside for a system that runs lean and refreshes quickly. Combination skin is almost always described as the confused skin type. Oily in some places, dry in others. Like your face held a meeting about moisture levels and absolutely could not reach consensus. But look closer at where the oil is, and that interpretation completely falls apart. The oily zone in combination skin is the T-zone, forehead, nose, chin. The drier zone is the cheeks. This is not random. This is not confusion. This is your body running a sophisticated cost-benefit analysis on your face and coming to a very reasonable conclusion. The T-zone is the most exposed part of your face. It faces directly forward, takes the most sun, sweats the most, and encounters the most environmental contact. It also has the highest concentration of sebaceous glands, not by accident, but because of exactly this exposure. Your nose, in particular, is basically a sebum factory operating on 3 shifts. Your body knows the T-zone needs more defense, so it produces more oil there. The cheeks, by contrast, are lower exposure zones. They face sideways, they're more sheltered, they don't need the same level of protection, so the body doesn't waste resources coating them. This is called differential resource allocation, and evolution absolutely loves it. Your body does this everywhere. Your dominant hand is stronger, your dominant eye is sharper. Your immune system deploys more aggressively to areas of higher infection risk. Combination skin is that exact same principle, just applied to the topography of your face. Instead of producing uniform oil across the entire surface, which would either underprotect the T-zone or wastefully over-oil the cheeks, combination skin targets production where it's actually needed. In survival terms, that's not a skin that can't make up its mind. That's a skin that did the math. The fact that it makes moisturizing complicated is honestly a you problem. Sensitive skin is the one that gets described in the most negative terms. Reactive, unpredictable, high maintenance. The skin that reads fragrance-free, hypoallergenic, dermatologist-tested on every product and still has opinions. People with sensitive skin often feel like their skin is betraying them, going haywire over things that shouldn't matter. But there's a completely different way to read that reactivity. Sensitive skin doesn't have a broken alarm system. It has an alarm system tuned to an extremely low threshold. And for most of human history, a low threshold wasn't a bug. It was the entire point. The skin's immune response, its ability to detect foreign substances and react, is mediated in part by specialized cells called mast cells. Mast cells release histamine and other inflammatory compounds when they detect something the body considers suspicious. In sensitive skin, this response is faster, more pronounced, and triggered by a wider range of stimuli. Ancient humans lived in a world full of genuinely dangerous things to touch. Unknown plants, animal secretions, toxic fungi, contaminated water, compounds from decomposing matter. There was no label on any of it, no ingredient list, no FDA approval, just touch this and find out what happens next. The ability to detect and react to a potential threat before it caused serious damage, before it got absorbed through the skin, was enormously valuable. Sensitive skin essentially runs that detection system at maximum sensitivity. Touch something problematic and the response is immediate: redness, burning, irritation. That's not your skin failing. That's your skin doing exactly what an early warning system is designed to do, alerting you loudly before things get worse. The discomfort is the mechanism. It's aversive by design. In a world where touching the wrong leaf could end your afternoon permanently, you really wanted your skin to have strong opinions about what it came into contact with. In the modern world, this system fires constantly at things that are deeply undeserving of that level of drama. Synthetic fragrances, new laundry detergents, gentle facial wipes. That is, admittedly, frustrating. Your skin is treating a $12 bottle of cleanser like it's a biological threat. But the underlying sensitivity that causes those misfires is the same sensitivity that could once tell the difference between safe contact and lethal contact. High sensitivity always produces more false positives. The alternative is missing something real. And historically, missing something real was significantly worse than having unnecessarily strong feelings about moisturizer. Acne-prone skin is where the evolutionary story gets most counterintuitive, because the advantage is buried inside something that looks entirely like a catastrophe. Acne is inflammation. At its core, it's your immune system responding aggressively to the presence of bacteria, specifically Cutibacterium acnes, a microorganism that lives in hair follicles and exists on literally everyone's skin. Most immune systems look at it and go, yeah, okay, that's fine, carry on. Acne-prone skin looks at it and goes, mobilize everything. That sounds like a malfunction. It is not a malfunction. For most of human history, a cut or abrasion wasn't a minor inconvenience you covered with a bandage and forgot about. It was a genuine danger. Open wounds got infected, infections spread, sepsis was common and frequently fatal. In that world, having an immune system that responds aggressively to bacterial intrusion, that mobilizes fast, hits hard, and doesn't take chances, was an enormous survival advantage. People with acne-prone skin tend to have larger sebaceous glands, producing more sebum, which creates a richer environment for bacterial growth inside follicles. But the same immune system that overreacts to that bacterial presence is extremely well equipped to fight harder when bacteria show up anywhere. The inflammatory machinery that produces a breakout is the same machinery that clears an infection before it spreads. There's also evidence that people with acne-prone skin have elevated levels of specific immune signaling molecules, cytokines, and a generally upregulated inflammatory response that may offer broader advantages in fighting off bacterial threats beyond the skin itself. Evolution's logic here is unsentimental and completely correct. An overactive immune response that causes cosmetic problems is a vastly better outcome than an underactive one that lets an infection spread and kill you. Acne is the cost. Aggressive bacterial defense at scale is the return on that investment. Your skin isn't broken, it's just fighting at a level of intensity that modern hygiene, antibiotics, and indoor plumbing have made unnecessary. It prepared for a world where infections were life-threatening. It won. You're just stuck dealing with the victory lap. Every skin type you just heard about was built by the same process. Survival. Not selfies, not skincare routines, survival. Your skin isn't random. It's a record of where your ancestors lived, what they survived, and how they pulled it off. Work with it. Like, comment, subscribe for more, and become a genius.